they were living under systems that were then forcing them to pay taxes and deal with other ideologies and cultural issues that were essentially harming their lives or causing them to not be able to live the life.
You're literally describing.
So they're playing by the rules. They're playing by the rules.
You
they're
were
doing everything.
describing a victimhood mentality.
No, I'm describing people who get up and go to work.
CNN commentator Scott Jennings recently appeared on Abby Phillip's show for a heated panel discussion that's generating significant attention. The central debate, whether Donald Trump and the broader MAGA movement embrace a culture of victimhood. Tonight, we're breaking down the key moments from this contentious exchange between Jennings, Phillip, and other panelists. We'll analyze the arguments, examine the rhetoric, and explore what this debate reveals about our current political landscape. I'm Insights Brief. If you find this analysis valuable, please like this video and subscribe for more in-depth political commentary. Let's dive into the discussion.
Tonight, is the right becoming the left? Ben Shapiro is claiming that the party that has long criticized Democrats for having a victimhood mentality is now sending that same message to Gen Z. Listen.
I think that the right is actually weirdly feminizing young men by giving them a victimology to buy into. Listen, if you're failing in life, yes, we can get the obstacles out of your way, but it's a little your fault. It's a little your fault. You should actually pick your ass up and go out and do something useful. And this notion that you as a Gen Z male are facing these obstacles that no other human has faced for all of human history, like read a book for once, like seriously, like go talk to your grandfather.
What do you think?
I do love listening to Ben Shapiro. Look, I think that he sees the problem he described, popping its head up on the right, and he's going to have none of it. I agree with him. Victimhood is a path to more problems. It isn't a meaning identifying oneself that way as your primary focus instead of trying to solve the problems that are out there. And he said, get yourself off your butt. Start working on these problems, and I agree 100%. I mean, frankly, that attitude helped make America the greatest country in the history of the world.
I guess I'm just surprised that now, this very moment, is the first time that this thought has crossed his mind, because I do think that actually the victimhood mentality is something that has helped power Trumpism. I mean, it's all been about what they are doing to us, how we are the victims, how the immigrants are taking our jobs, how other countries are taking our jobs. Everything is victimhood in Trump's world. So this is not really all that new. I'm surprised
I disagree with your assessment. I mean, I think what drove a lot of President Trump's coalition is a whole bunch of people who felt like they were doing everything that they've been told to do. Get up every day, go to work, pay their taxes, take care of their families, play by the rules. And they were living under systems that were then forcing them to pay taxes and deal with other ideologies and cultural issues that were essentially harming their lives or causing them to not be able to live the life.
You're literally describing.
So they're playing by the rules. They're playing by the rules.
You
they're
were
doing everything.
describing a victimhood mentality.
No, I'm describing people who get up and go to work. Well, if you want to describe working class America that follows the laws and pay their taxes as victims, go ahead. But that's not how conservatives.
No. I think
but you're saying that, look, everybody is doing everything right? But other people are putting something on.
Yeah, like illegal immigrants who come here and take up public resources. They're not doing things right, but the left, and you would argue that it's okay to leave them here, and the working class of this country would say, no, they broke the rules, they broke the rules, and I didn't, and yet they get more than I do.
Yeah, but
it's a good question.
But Scott, not all of the problems in this country are the responsibility of immigrants. Would you agree with that?
Yes, some are. Some aren't.
But
that's an example of something that you asked how the Trump coalition absorbs things.
The overarching theme of Trumpism is a lot of what you're saying, that it's other countries screwing us over, it's immigrants screwing us over, and where in the Trump mentality is it that I don't know, according to Ben Shapiro, that we need to pick ourselves up and do something.
The fascinating part about
you don't have to accept it. The Trump ethos would be, we don't have to accept it, we can fight back. And what Ben is saying, I think, is the same thing. Like, don't sit on your ass and just say, well, woe is me, I'm a victim, and there's nothing I can do about it. The actual answer is, you live in the greatest country in the world. Of course there's something.
The fascinating part about this argument, and the fascinating part about watching this argument play out just in being here, is that we've been able to articulate these same arguments for a very long period of time. that you've had 300 years of slavery, that you've had 100 years of Jim Crow, that you've had redlining, you've had the remnants of it, you've had state-sanctioned violence from Emmett Till all the way forward. And as soon as somebody articulates those things, for any reason that you may be running behind in the race that we call America, then all of a sudden we're playing victim. But in you two's mind, it doesn't quite articulate. It doesn't compute the same way.
It was very notable that Scott used the word systems that are
correct, because
Is it wrong?
But
Is it
it's
wrong?
not wrong.
I'm
And
just
I
saying.
expect people to enforce
But hold on, Scott.
the laws.
All I'm just saying is that when
agree
people
with
talk
you.
about systemic racism,
No, but
you
I
guys
just want.
that is a
but
made
my
up
only
thing.
point,
but
my
you
only,
just
and
described
this is where
systems as being
this is
I'm
where
describing systems where people are encouraged to break the law
this is
and then
where
giving no
Scott and
punishment for
I.
doing
This is
so.
where Scott and I agree, and it frustrates the people on the left who I love and the people on the right who Scott loves, because I just want the systems to be fair. Like, I don't want the systems to pick winners and losers, but I want the systems to be fair. And I think Scott would agree with that as well.
Well, let me jump in and agree
but
on
you
one
also
one
have to
aspect
realize
of that,
that
too.
for 400 years, they weren't. Right? So we need to make sure that we do everything above and beyond. I can't make you dance. I just want everybody to have an opportunity to have an equal dance floor.
Well, good news.
Is that-
I can't make me dance. So, but
That's why I miss you, kid.
I think
Where have you been so long, kid?
Kind of connecting your comment to Abby's is the picking winners and losers. So you don't have to look Republican versus Democrat. You can look right inside the GOP at the Chamber of Commerce wing of the GOP versus ordinary people. And the Chamber of Commerce wing has been winning for most of my lifetime until along came a guy named Donald Trump. And he's very unorthodox and he does things a very different way, but he is within the GOP, he is changing that focus. The focus has shifted much more to regular people.
Segment. Analyzing the playing by the rules narrative. Former Trump official Ken Cuccinelli recently made claims about the administration's focus on regular people. However, this narrative warrants closer examination, given ongoing concerns about conflicts of interest and financial transparency within the current administration. Scott Jennings raised an interesting point about Americans who follow the rules, paying taxes and contributing to society. But let's unpack what this rhetoric actually means and who it includes. The reality behind the rhetoric. When we examine the conservative talking points around following the rules, there's often an underlying assumption about who deserves consideration. Critics argue this framework excludes diverse perspectives and experiences that are fundamental to American society. Consider these concrete examples. Healthcare. Millions of Americans work hard, maintain insurance, and still face bankruptcy from medical emergencies, even from accidents beyond their control. The personal responsibility narrative doesn't account for systemic failures in our healthcare infrastructure. Federal workers, career civil servants who dedicated years to public service, now face mass layoffs despite fulfilling their obligations and contributing to their communities. Immigration discourse. The debate often presents contradictory characterizations. Immigrants are simultaneously accused of draining resources while taking jobs, an economic impossibility that reveals the rhetorical inconsistency. The broader question, what does it mean to live in a pluralistic democracy? Accepting diverse viewpoints, cultures, and identities isn't an imposition. It's the foundation of democratic society. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more political analysis.
Ever was for most
the
of my
Chamber of
lifetime.
Commerce is at
And
the White
picking
House every
and
single week.
But that
He
doesn't
is totally fine with the Chamber of
Abby,
Commerce.
please.
Meta,
This isn't binary.
Google,
this isn't 0 or 1.
Apple,
Yeah, but
you
can't
name it.
call
They are every single
You
week.
cannot
They
call a
call
Donald
the
Trump
president and
agenda
ask for
a
favors, and
Chamber
he
of
gives-
Commerce agenda.
They call him all the time and ask for carve-outs. They ask for breaks. They ask
Which is
for
what they do.
carve-outs
They're
and
just a
tariffs.
big lobbying
I'm just
organization.
saying, the individual companies that comprise the Chamber of Commerce, they don't have to go through the chamber anymore. They can just walk right in the front doors of the White House and get the things that they're asking for.
by me.
You can't. I take your point about the populism that Trump ran on, but the
let's
governance
zero
of the
in
Trump
on this.
administration has been that if OpenAI
Declaration
needs something, if one of these other companies needs something, they call, and then he says, you know what, we're going to exempt you from this policy. How is that not a Chamber of Commerce mindset as opposed to what is he doing for the average American that is actually on the receiving end of his policy, specifically tariffs. The people who are going to the grocery store and buying a box of Folgers, and they're paying a markup because of tariffs. What about those people?
And what do you think the chamber thinks of those tariffs? I think we've heard that pretty clearly.
I'm asking what do regular Americans think about those tariffs?
Americans is the key word.
Americans is the key
also
word.
alienating young
Americans
men
is
right
the
here
key
with
word.
comments.
Okay,
So,
nightcaps.
well, we're
They
not.
are.
Closing segment, the fighting for the little guy narrative. Abby Phillip raised a compelling question during this exchange. Is the current administration genuinely advocating for working-class Americans? Examining the record, when we look at policy outcomes and financial disclosures, there's a significant gap between campaign rhetoric and actual results. Critics point to various business ventures launched during this administration, raising questions about priorities and potential conflicts of interest. The pattern of scapegoating. Political analysts have identified a recurring strategy, deflecting economic anxieties toward marginalized groups rather than addressing systemic policy challenges. Whether the target is immigrants, LGBTQ communities, or other vulnerable populations, this approach raises important questions about accountability and leadership. The core debate. This discussion highlights a fundamental question in American politics. Should leaders focus on identifying external scapegoats, or should they present concrete policy solutions to economic challenges facing working families? Even commentators across the political spectrum, from Phillip to others on the panel, seem to agree that personal accountability matters in political discourse. Your perspective matters. Where do you stand on this debate? Do you believe the current narrative serves working Americans, or should political leaders focus more on substantive policy solutions rather than cultural flashpoints? Share your thoughtful analysis in the comments below. If you appreciate this kind of balanced political commentary, please like this video and subscribe to Insights Brief for more in-depth analysis. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.